We are looking now at the Spanish Playa Hotel Exhibit B. From an investor's perspective, what I'm most interested in is the bottom line, the cash flow or net operating income. But in order to develop that, what I need to know is, what are my revenues and what are my expenses? The way that the Exhibit B works, again, is based on this uniform system of accounts. I'm going to pick on year one because it's just a good place to start. We're projecting in year one 4.582 million euro of revenues. So that's our 100% of revenues. Of that, rooms department is 61.7% of the total revenues, or 2.829 million. And you can see the rest of the numbers as you go through. All of the revenues are expressed as percentages of the total revenue. When we get to departmental expenses, that's a little weird. For example, rooms department expense is 605 million euro expected in the first year. That is 21.4% of rooms revenue, not total revenue, rooms revenue. So what we can say is this rooms operation has a 21.4% cost of sales in the rooms, which is comparable to other rooms departments at any hotel anywhere in the world. Food and beverage expense, 961,000 euro, is precisely 66.5% of the combined food plus beverage revenue. What we want to know is, how does the food and beverage department, cost of food, cost of beverage plus labor, how does that operate relative to its revenues? It's a very high cost operation because, unlike rooms, you have to have something on the plate and something in the glass in order to satisfy your guests, in addition to the labor. Telecommunication has fundamentally become a cost center at this point. However much revenue you take in, this is from selling internet or telecommunication services, your expenses are at least equal to that. And we again see that telecommunication expense is 111.4% of its revenues, meaning that its costs are more than the revenues collected in that department, which is very, very common in the industry. And lastly, within this category, we have some rentals, so a very, very minor amount of income. We rent out some meeting space for some of our guests. That has a very low cost associated with it, about 41%. So again, these departmental expenses are expressed as a percentage of departmental revenues. On the other hand, the total departmental expenses, 1.841 million in the first year, is 40.2% of total revenues of 4.582 million. So when we start to leave the departmental expenses and look at any other expense category, what we find is things are now expressed as percentage of total revenues. It's only the departmental expenses where things are very specific. We see that our departmental income is 1 minus the 40.2% expense, or 59.8% departmental income. We have our undistributed operating expenses. They total 23.3% of revenue, which gives us an income before fixed charges. And then we further deduct another 11.1% of our revenues with the fixed charges to obtain, finally, our net operating income. First year, 1.164 million on revenue of 4.582 million. This is precisely 25.4% total revenue. Earlier, I had said the investor only cares about one thing, the quote-unquote bottom line, or in our case, the net operating income. Let's take a little bit more nuanced view of this, however. Big picture is what the investor wants to know is, what is long-term, stable operating margin? Notice this hotel grows into the market. We're projecting 55% occupancy growing to 69% in year 5. So pretty significant growth in occupancy, getting to what's known in the industry as a stabilized or stabilization period on the hotel. At that point in time, note that the operating margin, that net operating income as a percentage of total revenues, has gone from 25.4% in year 1 to 32.9% in year 5. As capacity utilization increases, what happens is the fixed charges stay relatively fixed. You're not paying your general manager more. You're not paying your laundry manager more. You're not paying a much larger electricity bill. You're collecting significantly more revenues. You do have some marginal costs associated with that for marginal room labor, marginal food and beverage labor and marginal food and beverage costs, but the operation becomes much more profitable. The increase in cash flow not only comes from the fact that the revenues are increasing as a result of occupancy increases, but they're also occurring as a result of the fact that the operation itself becomes more efficient as we have more and more people using the same facility.